Hello and welcome along to this next edition of Tony Stone's Chatroom with yours truly, Tony Stone, here at the wonderful Rubix Drum Studios as ever. And joining me for this particular edition of the podcast, I have two absolutely wonderful singers sitting on the sofa. We'll go right to left, I think. Lucy Randell, aka Annique. Welcome, Lucy, or do I call you Annique?
You call me whatever you like, it's fine.
Annique, we'll call you Annique.
Yes.
It's easy, it's simple. Annique, and alongside Annique is, well, a buddy of yours, an employer of yours. How do you describe Wayne?
Both.
Yeah. The wonderful, amazing
mentor,
soul singer extraordinaire, Wayne Hernandez.
Hello.
Welcome along, first of all, to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Hey. Now, as I was kind of explaining to you a little bit off air before we got into the studio, the idea really of the podcast is to give our viewers, hopefully there will be, an opportunity to get to know Annique, Lucy and Wayne and what makes you guys tick, what gets you going in the morning, all that kind of stuff. Okay, in a nice way. So I think we'll start at the beginning, basically. Annique, why music? What made you want to become a singer, songwriter? How do you class yourself, first of all?
I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, really. I am a singer and a songwriter, but I'm also a professional musician. What made me do that? Well, my mum, I think we've kind of got music and you know, musicianship, whatever, in the family. My mum went to Guildhall, she was a singer, and I was a bit of a stubborn, stroppy teenager, and I was very good at sort of singing and performing throughout my childhood, but she wanted me to kind of go into music, so I was like, just to kind of
please her?
No, not to please her. I did the opposite.
Oh, right, to annoy her.
Just to annoy her. I'd said, I'm going to go and do this career, I'm going to go and do that career, and it didn't last. I didn't stick at it, and that's the one thing that I always stuck at and that I always went back to, and it's kind of always been like that, really. Yeah.
So would you say music chose you rather than you choosing music?
Now that I've accepted it. We both live in harmony.
You both live in harmony.
Excuse the pun.
No pun intended. And Wayne, with you, what made you... Did you have anybody in your family doing music, singing in the same way that Annique had, or...?
Well, I had more of a mentor, uncle. He was a pastor, and he allowed me to play music in church. And that was it.
What age were you?
I was about 7. You know, I started as early as that, and my first performance was 9. I was 9-year-old singing "Let It Be" in a huge convention.
I wish I was there.
I know.
Scared out of my wits.
And I mean, looking back now to that 9-year-old doing that first gig, can you quite believe that all these years later you're still doing the same job, you're still making a living as an artist?
Well, to be honest with you, I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
You couldn't?
No, I couldn't. I enjoyed what I was doing, and so one thing always led to the next. So it was really easy to pursue rather than, you know, thinking, oh, maybe I should do something else. I never had that feeling.
It's always been music, it's always been singing. You couldn't imagine doing anything else?
No, nothing at all.
Interesting, okay. Now, obviously, recently, you had a couple of absolutely amazing gigs, which we'll come to in a minute. But with you, Lucy, as well, I want to ask you some of your highlights of your career to date that you've done. If there's one gig that you thought, wow, that was it, I nailed it, I really enjoyed it, what would it be?
There's been a few things, really. Doing a tour in Latvia, that was pretty cool, actually, with the Annique side of things. I do an Amy Winehouse tribute, dressed as myself. not as Amy Winehouse, because
Good.
that's a bit weird. No disrespect. But yeah, we did a sold out show at Coco on her birthday. That was last year, and actually
that was amazing.
Wayne featured on that.
Oh.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it? It was
me.
really good.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So I featured Wayne on the show, but that was just a gig that I was, buzzing from. Doing shows at places like Ronnie Scott's. I did a show at Ronnie Scott's actually this Sunday just gone. That was sold out, and that was on fire.
Excellent.
But yeah, even doing things like I went to Kenya in April last year, and that was like on a sort of songwriting mission with a charity to promote peace, to write one song from 8 different dialects, and I don't know,
wow.
2 weeks of travelling around Kenya with schools and children and blah blah blah, and it was just this huge project, and it was very tiring but extremely rewarding, and it come at just the right time for me.
Excellent. Now, I suppose we have to mention those recent gigs. The Royal Wedding.
Yeah.
the 2018 Meghan and Harry.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Good friend of yours. How did that come about? I mean, because that's not an everyday gig, is it?
Yeah, well, it definitely isn't. I actually thought it was when I first got the call. I got a call from the choir director, who's Karen Gibson, and of Kingdom Choir. And she just said to me, Wayne, are you around on the 19th of May? So I looked at my books. I thought, yeah, I'm cool. I could do it. Had no idea it was the wedding at all.
And the date didn't twig with you?
It didn't. I'm just looking at it like another session. So about 2 weeks before, she then calls me and says, right, this is what it's for. And I'm like, you're joking me, right? And yeah, she said, yeah, and you got rehearsals tomorrow. So yeah,
quick as that, was it?
Yeah, it was. Because it was all hush. So yeah.
I mean, what was that whole experience like? What was the day? I mean, most of us couldn't dream about that kind of stuff. What was it?
Surreal. I don't think I could have dreamt about it because I wouldn't know what it's like. And it weren't until when I got there and I experienced the whole thing. It was like unlike any other thing I've experienced.
Wow.
Yeah.
Special day for you.
Special day for a lot of people. Yeah.
Excellent. And then just a little bit after the royal wedding, you did another equally...
Another royal wedding.
Another royal wedding. Another equally amazing gig. No, not another royal wedding. Well, music royalty.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Yeah, Quincy Jones.
Wow.
Yeah. What an experience. It was just like, wow. And again, you can't say what it's going to be like until you've done it. Because
and that was at the O2?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, who were some of the other names that were there that can you remember?
Namvula Malinga, Tenny, there was Holly Petrie.
Yes.
And
Brendan?
Yeah, Brendan was there as well.
Well, so what were you actually doing? Were you in the main...
We were doing everything. we were singing like backing vocals parts, and we were also doing lead parts as well. As well, for different songs. We had to do like Aina Corrida and Give Me the Night. Yeah, a few others.
Which was your favourite?
Wow, that's a good question. Because they're all my favourites. I love Quincy's work. He's an artist for me.
Talented,
so for me, it's like I love George Benson stuff as much as I love Michael Jackson, Patty Austin, James Ingram. The list goes on. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you two were kind of getting into the business and you were starting out, who were your sort of main influences, people that obviously I'm assuming Quincy would have been one of them for you, but what about you, Annique? Who were your sort of influences and inspirations?
Vocally, I would, and I think you can hear them in my voice, I think. I'd say artists, obviously, like Amy Winehouse and Roisin Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
She's the singer from Maloko. Freddie Mercury.
Of course, yes.
He's a big influence on me. I love his drama. And I'm influenced by a lot of things. So I mean, when I was little, I loved listening to sort of musical theatre as well. So yeah, Michael Jackson, obviously, growing up, and I listened to a lot of rock as a child.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents' vinyl collection.
Okay, and so Queen and all that stuff was in that?
Yeah, so there's little elements of sort of folk and stuff, but yeah, mainly the kind of jazz soul side of things.
So-
Yeah, and Fitzgerald's amazing, obviously.
With you, obviously, we know one particular person that you got inspiration from, and we'll come back to him in a moment. But other ones, who else apart from
Donny Hathaway, man? Oh, what a voice, what talent. Luther, Al Green. Those are the guys I grew up singing with, because learning to sing, I needed to attach myself to something that I felt I could become.
Okay.
And they were the ones.
And those were the ones that got you.
Yeah, and
Go.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Now, in fact, one of your heroes, you've actually now done a fantastic show about the Marvin Gaye
Thank you.
show. And
Yeah.
it's absolutely brilliant show. And if any of you viewers watching haven't seen it, I suggest you go and see it. Lucy's agreeing with me. Annique, go and see it. It's a really, really cool show. Talk us through a little bit about that. What made you actually, from all the artists that you selected as your heroes, what was it that you wanted to pick, particularly Marvin?
Marvin, for me, was actually, I didn't want to do Marvin because I felt his singing for me was too challenging. I didn't know if I could manage it because it was far beyond my abilities, and I got kind of forced into it because a lot of people wanted to hear Marvin. And I thought to myself, okay, if I'm going to do it, let me start with the easy ones. And there weren't many of them. So I was kind of forced to kind of knuckle down and really try to do what he does. And as I began to do it, it got easier and it got...
And you've now done it sellout shows at the Pizza Express, 606, Boysdale's, and
Jazz Cafe, And now we've got another one came in today, which is... we got about 9 shows across outside London.
Oh, fantastic. Do you want any roughly where?
Newbury, Ipswich, Crewe.
Oh, dear. No disrespect to Crewe in Kent.
No, I'm looking forward to that one. Bromley. That's the only London one we have.
That's the only London. Well, that's because this goes everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Keep your eyes peeled. You never know where you may turn up. Exactly. Now, obviously, another quick sort of question I want to ask, again, both of you really. Music industry in the last few years has changed quite a bit with the modern technologies that we have and the internet and all that kind of stuff. How do you feel that has changed music? Do you think it's made it easier, harder, to the detriment? How do you feel on the internet invasion of music? If that's the right word. Annique?
I like it. I think it's cool because you can you've got more control over what you want to do as an artist. I think you're seeing a lot more crossover genres coming through. I like it. I think for me the hardest part is promoting a gig, especially if you're a musician. I think because I don't like selling myself and putting myself out there and go, yes, come and buy my albums. It's a really hard thing to do, even though you've been working a long time towards the product. It's the part of music I hate. Doing all the actual creating of it, and
rather than the business bit.
No, that's the bit I don't like.
That's the bit you don't.
Freaks me out a bit, but hey, but you got to, and that's the good thing about things like Instagram, because it's very simple that you generally if you follow people who are into artists that you're influenced by, then they're likely to follow you back So it's kind of a very simple kind of PR route, but
Cool.
yeah.
And Wayne, do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. I think it's a great thing because I feel like before there were lots of artists that were so unheard of, people didn't know about, and now you're hearing about them, which comes because you can go on the computer and go onto YouTube and see all these amazing
Okay, very
artists.
quickly, is there anybody out there now that's grabbing your attentions that you think our viewers should go and check out and see, or not?
Me!
Not.
Go and see me!
Apart from you two. Apart from you two. Is there anybody else that you think they're quite cool? Go and...
I saw Bobby Womack's, I believe it's his daughters. So there's like 3 of them, and they sound ridiculous.
Really?
As in amazing. Yeah, I definitely would check them out. They sound so good.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah.
Annique? Apart from you.
I don't know. It's hard. I mean, I listen to such a wide variety of music, but I mean, I'm probably at the moment listening to artists that a lot of people have heard of, but it's more sort of electronica kind of stuff, like Hernandez. But yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember anyone specifically.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll give you one to work on. Jacob Collier.
Oh, ridiculous.
I'm not. Don't start me on Jacob Collier. No, seriously. Right. No, Jacob, if you're listening, I respect you, but it's just too technical for me. There's not much bite to it. There's not much soul to it for me, and there's no edge. It's a bit too shiny, a bit too perfect, and a bit too complex for me.
Okay.
That's my opinion. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Wayne.
I think Jacob's very
I love
talented.
Jacob.
You do?
You love him.
Well, I've seen him live. I haven't seen him on the internet, but I've seen him live, and he is ridiculous for me. For real.
Oh yeah, he's really. I'm not saying he's not talented. He's really talented, but
Yeah.
I just the music
Okay.
no.
Okay, now, obviously a lot of people also have misconceptions. We'll move on, I think, quickly. Have misconceptions about the music industry and what it actually is like in reality as a career, as a job, as being a professional musician. How would you say that aspect, talk a little bit about that aspect of being, what do you think is the art of being a professional musician? Annique?
What, as in being professional?
Being professional.
As a musician?
Yes, yeah.
Or being a professional musician?
Well, both, really, both.
Well, I guess the practice is really important. I don't think contemporary musicians practice as much as classical musicians. Classical musicians practice like 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm like, whoa. But yeah, I think the more you practice, the more you sort of throw yourself out there with different experiences, you know, the better you have to be all around, I guess. And studio work is very different. The studio recording work is very different to doing live work, and even doing backing vocals is very different to doing frontman stuff. So, because you have to be an entertainer, it's a different style. Whereas doing backing vocals, you have to learn to not stand out, to blend in, and to, you know, switch into these different roles. So I guess exposing yourself to as much of that as possible, and to get as many sort of talents under your belt. I guess a little bit of dancing, learning a little bit of an instrument. I mean, I do percussion now. I'm not a percussionist, nobody's percussionist, but I'm good at percussion. I'm getting much better.
Well, you're in a wonderful percussion studio.
No, flats in Dagenham. No. But it has helped me, through doing that, it's helped me be a little bit more, a lot more rhythmical with my vocals. Do you know what I mean? Just getting a better understanding of music. So that's my take on the music.
And Wayne?
I mean, I would say the other side of it is musicians have to become self-sufficient doing their books, taking care of their businesses, because it's really going to make or break you, and it's not something you could do forever if you're not being paid or paying your tax bills or buying new instruments, or so you've got to kind of have that kind of mindset. It's not just music anymore, it's music plus the electricity bill, plus this, plus that.
Do you find when you talk to people on the outside who aren't fans or whatever, or who people that you know, and you start to talk to them about what the realities of the music business really are, do you find there are misconceptions about it, what people think music is compared to what it actually is?
I would say that before when the music industry was different, yes, there was a lot of misconceptions, but not now. I think it's quite open now, and people can see that, as well as anything, doing music, it is a struggle as well until you get to a certain point. But it's about grafting and fighting your way through till you get to that point.
Right, okay. Now, what I thought we'd do at this particular point is give you guys an opportunity to kind of sell yourselves, really.
Oh,
okay.
The thing, the very thing we hate the most.
Just about what we were talking about. No. Anyway, and basically, if anybody watching this particular podcast wants to go and check you guys out further and see where Wayne Hernandez is, what Annique is doing, blah blah blah, where can they go? Come on, we've got to be serious now. Where can they go and check you both out, find you online and that kind of stuff? So, Annique?
To me. Okay, I have a website, anniqueofficial.co.uk. I'm just setting up my Lucy Randell website.
Oh, we'll come to that in a minute.
But I think that's lucyrandell.uk. RANDELL, people. ELL, it's really important. And on that you can find all of my Instagram, my Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Social media.
Yeah, and I've also got a Patreon account as well.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, tell us a bit more about that then. What's that for?
It's a platform where people sort of, a bit like funding and all of those kind of things, rather than it being a one-off chunk of money to sort of promote you doing one thing like a big show or whatever. It's a sort of regular donation. So for $1 a month, basically, and it's in dollars, don't ask me why, but $1 a month, if you subscribe now, you'll get my next album, which is out October 19th.
And it's called?
Lady Wonder.
Oh. And tell us a bit about, can you tell us anything about the album?
The album is it's sort of almost like what's in my head, what's been in my head for the past sort of 4 years or something. It's a bit tricky, kind of going into your 30s, I think, and going, oh, I'm an adult now, and I don't have this, and I don't have that sorted out, and what's my excuses? I don't have any, and it's a bit of a freak out period. It's not like I was.
So it's original music concept.
Yes, it's original music, and it's a lot about what was going on around me at these specific times. A lot of it's relationship based. I'm very lucky in that department.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. And with you, Wayne.
I have my stuff can be seen on my Facebook page. I'm working on Instagram and my webpage. But if you go Wayne Hernandez Facebook, it's all there. You can see
all
it.
that. And
YouTube as well. You got YouTube?
Oh yeah, YouTube. Yeah.
You've got to check out their YouTube pages. Yeah. Come on, you're on YouTube already, so you might as well, when you finish this particular podcast, go and check out these lovely two. So that's your next task. Right now, what have you got coming up as well? Any albums coming out?
Yeah, I'm actually recording an album now. I have. Let me see. It probably won't be ready before the early next year.
So early
But,
2019.
Yeah, early 2019. But yeah, there's lots of things in the pipeline which I can't say yet, but it's very interesting.
Interesting. Cool. Now, another couple of questions that I always like to ask the guests on the podcast. Advice. If there's any advice that you would give to anybody that's perhaps watching this, thinking of coming into music, thinking of having a singing career, what would you guys say to them is the most important thing that you need to do, that you were talking about practicing earlier, saying how that important that is, but more sort of general rather than particular music thing, but more.
Don't give up your day job.
Don't
No, I'm joking.
No, seriously.
I would say the most important thing is that when you make that decision, know that's the decision you want to make, because you're going to be in for a hard graft, because music isn't as simple as just doing something and someone picks it up and you got a big deal, and it's not like that anymore. You really have to work, and it's a good thing. I think it's good for artists to work and to feel what they put in, so that when they get to that point, they can go, it was worth it. It was worth the pain.
And I think also the highs are really high.
Yeah.
But when the lows, when you don't have so much work or whatever, and you can see people on social media and they're off here, and that's quite testing for you, and you're sort of, I don't know, you're like, am I any good? Does anyone love me? It's because it is part of. It's more than just a job. I think music.
It's a vocation.
It's very emotional to be attached to something like that as a career.
And particularly as a singer-songwriter, do you find it more when you're singing your own music about you? Do you feel that intensity a bit more than perhaps when you're doing covers?
Yeah, I do. I feel a lot more nervous doing shows. It depends though. If it's a massive show, like if I'm on a stage with a massive audience, I couldn't give two hoots. I'll get out there and I'll just be like, it's all about me. But if it's like a really intimate show, I'll be like, my shoulders will be up here, and I'll just be like, 10 glasses of port later, I'm like, fine. Doing it. But I think, for me, just put yourself out there. I mean, there's so many kind of music colleges now, places where you can network, and sort of even going to like the Ronnie Scott's kind of jam night up there, just to kind of push yourself in directions that sort of scares you a little bit, but
get yourself out of your comfort zone a bit.
Exactly, and you'll find that things are probably scary that one time, but then actually, it's once you've done it once or twice, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Now, I think we're coming towards the end of the podcast. I've been giving you the nod. So let's just end on another little question that I always like to ask our guests. Regrets. Any regrets at all from the business side of things? We're not talking about your private lives, but work-wise, do you have any regrets or not? Or are you totally happy with how the course has gone? Well, Annique?
Yeah, I mean, there's been loads of things that I've done that I've gone, well, I've been very, very good here, not swearing, congratulate me, people, in the comment section below. I think there have been contracts that I've signed, or it's just very difficult because you can't just get a lawyer involved on these sort of small contracts, for instance, because it's just not cost effective. But even through doing mistakes like that, or doing a gig and you've not got paid for it, you learn, and it's good that you learn at that point rather than, I guess, further on down the line where it's a bigger contract or it's a bigger gig. You kind of, so yes and no. I do have regrets, but actually I see it in a positive way
rather than negative.
Okay.
And Wayne?
Yeah, I would say exactly that too, because the thing is, you plan, you have certain plans that you have in your life, that you make in your life from young, and then it goes or pear shape. And at that point, you have to say, wow, what's going on here? Is this what I want to do? Is this what do I want to be a postman now? Or, but I would say that looking at the whole scheme of things, yeah, I know.
You've been a good postman, sorry.
Postman Pat. Yeah. So in the whole scheme of things, I could now look at it and go, you know what? It was a bad time, but it was a good time because it helped me to make certain decisions to help me to be where I am now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And onwards and upwards to the next part of your career and stuff, and your new album that's coming out, new album that's coming out, Wayne, as well. So we look forward to that, and we'll come back on the podcast when they're out and bring them with and have a little chat about specifically the albums.
Yes.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. One thing I've not asked you to do, which I might sneakily ask you to do, as we're at the end of the podcast, would you be able to do maybe a little a cappella? Numbers you fancy doing? Your voice is warmed a bit. Could you do an a cappella duo? Just to
ain't no
finish it.
mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough
to keep me from getting to you, babe.
You've done that before, haven't you? What a great way to finish the podcast, and I think that deserves a big round of applause. Yay. Thank you so much, Wayne Hernandez and Annique, or rather Lucy Randell, aka Annique as well. Thank you both so much for being terrific guests on the podcast, and that is it for this particular edition of Tony Stone's Chatroom podcast here at the Rubix Drum Studios with yours truly, Tony Stone. So until the next one, happy chatting.